Thank you for joining me today on this journey through our finances. This is a really awesome opportunity, and I commend you for taking this step to really take control of the finances. In Financial Foundations Course 1, we're really going to start digging into sort of how to understand where the money's going, where is it going, and how can we stop it if it's going the wrong places. Who's this video for? It's really for any of those private practice owners out there who really want to begin taking control of their finances and their life goals, because that's really what this is all about, making sure our money is going towards things we really care about. And whether been in practice for a year or 10 years, 30 years, if you've never taken those steps, this will be very difficult. And I commend you for taking those steps today, because it's one of the hardest steps, but it's so important. In this video, we'll begin this process. We'll get an overview of what we're going to learn throughout the Financial Foundation course, and then take that first step into really capturing and understanding our finances. So I commend you for starting. I can't wait to get started, and let's go. Thanks again for joining. I'm Thinking Cap Financial. My name's Ryan DeRusso. I'm a fee-only financial advisor. And again, I cannot wait to get started going through this course with you and really starting to understand our finances. So what are we going to cover today? First, we're going to hit on the power of our finances. What role do they play in our lives, and why is it important to take control of those finances? Next, we're going to go through sort of why manage finances, like what's the purpose of it, and what value can we bring from it, and as well as what does it mean to actually manage the finances, because I'm sure you know kind of the things that you spend money on, but if you're not managing it in a thoughtful process, then it's going to be difficult to actually control it. And that's really where we're going to go with this. Then we'll get into the course curriculum, so you understand not only what you can learn in this series of videos, but also in series of videos to come, because we're not just going to focus on the foundations in this. We're going to go further than that. So by the end, you as a business owner can not only wrap your head around your personal finances, but also your practice or business finances as well. And I so want you to have that control. Then we're going to get into some goals and rewards along the way, as well as things to remember, things to keep in mind as you're going through this, since it's not a immediate fix. It's not a one-time set it, forget it, done with. Instead, it's a lifetime of steps and practices and mindset. And that's really what we're going to start to today, but things we want to remember along the way. And then finally, we'll end with some help and guidance so you can get the encouragement and rewards along the way, so that sort of step-by-step process that may take years can feel a lot more pertinent. A few things to get out of the way first. If you want more sort of guides and ideas from me, go to thinkingcapfinancial.com/newsletter, and you'll get additional tips in your inbox. You find me on YouTube at Thinking Solo, LinkedIn, my name at Ryan DeRusso. Share this course. We're growing together in this process. Personal finance, while we try to hide it from everyone, it's not meant to be. We need encouragement from others. We're not taught these things. We've never learned these things. No one has taken a personal finance course in high school or college, most likely. So you need to share your knowledge with others and learn from others. And what I'd really love to do is start a revolution in this process, so more private practice owners can really embrace wealth in their lives and in their practice. Beware, this is the most important video in the course, so make sure to watch it. Don't skip ahead. Don't jump ahead thinking you know exactly what I'm going to say and whatnot, because you're going to miss out on something really important. And then I would suggest watching it at 2x speed. It's how I watch things. It'll go a lot faster. And then if there's anything important that you want to come back to, you can always come back to it. This isn't going anywhere, so you can easily find it if needed. All right, let's get into it. The power of finances. So, some rich white guy once said, if we command our wealth, we shall be rich and free. If our wealth commands us, we are poor indeed. That, while, this comes from someone who had so much wealth, they probably didn't have anything to know what to do with. It is so pertinent to our lives, because how does wealth impact us on a day-to-day basis? What happens if you need your roof repaired? How are you going to feel about your practice if you don't have enough money in the practice to pay for that roof? What if you need to invest in the business and suddenly, you're already eating ramen every night and you can't necessarily find other ways to pinch pennies? You're not going to feel like you can invest in the business in any way. And so what has happened there is our wealth is controlling us. Our finances are controlling us. Instead, we need to take control of the financial picture. And this, it can be done. This can impact us in many different ways, from whether if we have debt to are we saving for the long term, and are we stressed out about sort of monetary concerns on a day-to-day basis. This impacts our well-being, and if we haven't taken control of that, we're going to feel a lot worse about ourselves, our business, and everything in between. And so really what we need to do is capture that, manage that, wrangle that, so we're not feeling that way, and we're not feeling that way about our personal lives or our business. And so that's why another far less wealthy white guy says, if we command our practice, we shall be rich and free. If our practice commands us, we are poor indeed. I can't stress this enough. I talk to private practice owners all day, every day. And one thing we're so focused on is trying to figure out ways for them to control their own financial picture, how they can feel more comfortable with the work that they're doing. They're working so hard. They're seeing so many clients. They're helping so many people. But how are they feeling comfortable? And that's really what we need to do. And that, in order to do that, you need to understand what's going on in the financial picture. And I know this because I've experienced this. This is a picture of me when in 2016, a couple months after my first child was born. I was a full-time self-employed writer at that point. And what you see in this picture is how my life was like for many years. I had not taken control of the finances, and so the finances were really controlling me. But the reason this picture kind of stands out to me is because it's also kind of when my wife and I took control of our own financial picture. When my son was born, he was born around 10 o'clock at night. By the time my wife moved into her room and was settled, it was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I go down into the hospital lobby. I sleep for 2-3 hours. And when I wake up, I go across the street to a diner and start working, only mere hours after my child was born. And I had to do that because I had expenses that I had to cover. And in order to cover those expenses, I had to make sure I get my pieces in, basically get my hourly rate in, so I could afford that and create time to then go and see my child, and help my wife as we begin our new life together. And it was about this time where my wife and I were like, this can't work. We can't continue to live like this, because I needed to be more present. I needed more flexibility. And while it's great, I could help my wife out with the care on a day-to-day basis, I could never really rip myself away because of all of these concerns. And so we began taking control of our finances, taking control of our debt, taking control of our investing, all of those things. And what we saw through that time was dramatic. In 2016, we were probably over here at about $100,000 in net worth, between like an IRA that we had, a 401k that my wife had, and that's about it. Here is about 2019, we're about at $200,000, and now we're at over $1 million. So in less than 10 years, we've increased our wealth by 10x. And how did we do this? Through the steps that I'm going to talk about today. These big jumps here are just because I added accounts in to this sort of tool that I was tracking. But that's all that is. But essentially what we did was take a methodical approach and take those steps consistently over time. And over time, we saw our net worth grow and grow and grow. And what did that do? Yeah, I mean, this number is nice, but really what that did was create space for us. And so I could change careers. I could figure out what I actually wanted to do for a living. And what that was help people one-on-one with their finances. I now work with private practice owners. They account for about 90% of my clientele. And I'm having conversations like this with them every single day of my life. And I love it. It's absolutely what I love to do. And I wouldn't be able to have done it or do this now if I hadn't gone through this process. And, your goals are going to be different. What you want to get out of this can be so different. But the end result is you having more flexibility with your time. And that's what we want. And you see the like what I did in this process. I got a certified financial planner certification so I could work with folks one on one. I joined United Financial Planning Group as sort of my compliance company, and I started Thinking Cap Financial as my financial firm. And then I am what's called a fee only financial planner. So I only get paid by my clients. I don't get paid by insurance firms, brokerages, or anyone else to give advice. Instead, I'm only paid by my clients. And so these conversations that I have on an everyday basis, this is what I'm sharing with you now. And this is the most important picture because of those steps that I took to grow our wealth. And I say me, but my wife and I took to grow our wealth. I was able to take time away when my daughter was born in 2022, when I was in the process of transitioning careers, and be present for that. And it was meant the world to me. It was so much easier in those early days just because I didn't have to manage, worrying about the mortgage or, the rising debt or anything like that. And, I look at this picture and I smile. The other picture I really cringe at. And so to recap sort of what I'm just described, in less than 10 years, my wife and I have increased our net worth by 10x. We've created financial stability in this process. We're so much more stable than we used to be. I've changed careers in that process, and I found what I love to do, which is, more important than anything. And we're on the path to financial freedom. So eventually, if we choose to take a month off, we can do that because we're not concerned about the finances. And we don't have any student loan debt. We don't have any other kind of credit card debt or anything like that to bog us down or anything like that. And I did this all while self-employed. So many of you are probably in a similar situation where you are self-employed and your significant other has a W-2 job, whether that's the case, or you're single and self-employed, or both you and your partner are self-employed. It does not matter. You can achieve this in all those different scenarios. It's just a matter of sort of adjusting things based on your situation, but it can be done. It will be done if you take the right steps to do so. And this is where I'd like to say, like, what would your life look like if, you had made more in your private practice? I would take a minute, like close your eyes and take a minute and really think about what these things, like if you were to be able to take a deep breath and just say, I'm now making more money. I now have so much less debt. I now am reaching the goals that I'd like to achieve. How would that make you feel? How would you feel? How would that change your life? Really think about that, because that's really what we're talking about here. We get into dollars and cents, and these are the sort of tactics that we're using to achieve things. But the impact is what I'm talking about, those life impact. And that's what I'm talking about now. So what would happen if you were able to manage your expenses and grow without going into debt? What if you could determine how to grow in your practice, determine how to save for your own goals if you had no debt, or if you could plan for the future? What would that mean to you? Keep that in mind as you move through this course, because that's what we're trying to achieve. This is how I define true wealth. It's more of the things you want and less of the things you don't. If you can increase the things that you want, reduce the things that you don't, then you can create a life that is worth living for you. Personal finance, when you read an article or whatnot, it's very general. It's, hey, you should do this because X, Y, and Z, and it's based on, statistics broadly. But we need to figure out what's right for you. And if you can figure that out and the best tactics to do so, then you can really increase the things that you want and decrease those things that you don't. And that's the goal of this course. And so what does it mean to manage finances? When we say that, what are we saying? First, you need to understand the why of things. Why are things happening to you? How are they happening? And what's the long-term impact? Then we can learn the tactics and tools that we can utilize for our purposes. It's good to have a broad knowledge of these tactics and tools so we know when to use one or the other, because in certain situations, certain personalities, you may use one versus a different budgeting tool, or one investing strategy versus another. And so it's really important to understand what you're getting out of those two things in order to know when to use it and when not to use it. And that's really what we want to do. But we're only using it to reach, one short-term purpose, but that short-term purpose and how that fits with our long-term or overarching goals. And so that's really all this is we're trying to understand why things are happening, what tactics and tools we can use to correct it, and what are we correcting it? Why are we correcting it? To achieve our purposes and goals. And if we can do that, then we're going to be really moving in the right direction. And the more you can manage this, the better off you're going to be long term. What does it mean not to manage finances? It essentially means the opposite of this. In fact, you may know this all too well of what it means to not manage it. You're basically removing the ability to dictate your future. There are certain things about our lives that we cannot predict, health situations, life situations, but many things we can. And if we are proactive about some of those things, then we can protect ourselves or prepare ourselves for said stuff. And if we are just kind of leaving it up to whim, then we become like a leaf in the wind, and kind of blown in whichever direction life throws at us. We want to get away from that when we're talking about finances, and this allows us to do that. So I'm going to go through the course and what you can learn through this course, as well as then walk you through the next series of courses that you can expect from Thinking Cap Financial and these series of courses. So first, this is the welcome video. We're going to kind of figure out what we're doing here, why we're doing here, and sort of how to move forward. Then we're going to get into the financial health assessment, where we really pinpoint not only more importantly about where you are now, what your net worth is, and what is really eating at that net worth, so we know how to move forward. Then we're going to get into tracking income expenses. For private practice owners, that can be very difficult because it's so up and down, but we want to be able to capture that, corral that, so we can plan accordingly. Then we'll go further into wrangling expenses to understand the differences between the types of expenses and how to manage it based on those differences. This will be really important once we get into the budgeting section, which will be start with course 5, where we go through the different types of budgeting tactics available to us, so you can sort of find one that works for you. And then in course 6, I will go through a budgeting tactic that I actually work with clients on. It's my preferred method, and I will go step by step so we can see what that looks like. And again, this is just the first of many courses, because as you know, as a private practice owner, that your finances vary considerably. And so first, we're going to start with the financial foundations. Next, we're going to go into that managing that cash flow. So how to pay yourself and how to protect yourself, considering you have other things you have to worry about within the business. Third, we're going to go into tax planning foundations. You probably hire a CPA or an EA come tax time, and that's important, but you also have to recognize what they're doing on a basic level, so you can, 1, understand, 2, predict, and 3, call them out if they're not doing it. And so that's where we're really going to go into that there. Course 4, we're going to start getting into paying off debt and using debt effectively. Depending on if you have a private practice, group practice, it may differ on how you use debt. But between student loans, credit card debt, it's very common to have those things right now, and we'll talk about how to get rid of them and then use debt accordingly. Course 5 is really sort of the business 101 course, where we're going to get into income statements, balance sheets, and cash flow statements, so we can understand sort of where the money's going, how it's going through the business, and how we can invest in the future. And then finally, course 6, we'll get into financial foundations for the future, where we start looking ahead and what we're going to achieve long-term, between retirement, between estate planning, between trying to reach long-term goals. That's where we'll really dig into that. So what is the goal of this course? My personal goal is I want to reach 1 million self-employed people and help them embrace and thrive in self-employment. I have been self-employed almost my entire career, and frankly, I think it's a fantastic way to earn a living, but it has to be done in a smart, intelligent, manageable way, because either it can overtake your life or you can never reap the rewards that it can bring. And so we need to create systems and tools and practices to make sure we're protecting ourselves in this process, because it's not an easy one. And that's really what I want to get more people understanding that and recognizing that and succeeding in this. My goal for you is so you can take control of your goals and finances. I don't want I don't want to talk. Like I don't enjoy working with clients when they're not reaching their goals because of X, Y, and Z. Instead, we want to reach the goals, because if we're not reaching those life goals, then all of this is not really worthwhile. Instead, we want to understand our finances so we're benefiting, we're growing, we're building, and that's really my goal here. My vision is to see thousands of self-employed practice owners take control of their finances and reach the life that they desire. And I want you to join the ranks of those self-employed who are actually achieving this on a regular basis. And that's my goal here. In order in order to do this, you really need to embrace abundance. What is an abundance mindset? We fear talking about money because we're afraid if we talk about it and we don't succeed, well, someone else will, or if we succeed, someone else won't. But in fact, there's plenty of money to go around. There's plenty of tactics and tools available, and there's definitely enough clients out there. Instead, we need to work together to grow. We need to build understanding that we're in this together. We have similar pain points and goals and wins and losses. And the more we're sharing and encouraging each other, the better off we'll be. And so embrace that abundance mindset and share with people your wins and your losses. I want you to increase your freedom. Taking a proactive mindset to freedom creates freedom. It creates space so you can take vacations and you can take time off and understand what's important to you and focus on that specifically. And I want you to embrace that, especially as your finance and financial picture grows. Share this video. It doesn't have to be with another private practice owner. It could be anyone struggling with, basics to budgeting and financial foundations. Share it, send it, post it to your communities, all those sorts of things. Because if you're doing that, you're sending out the word of ways to achieve financial goals for others, and you're helping them get to where you're going to go. And if we're sharing the videos, more people are building with us. We'll be able to build more videos and share more content, and it'll just build on itself. Finally, take action. All of this stuff without taking action will be meaningless. You have to listen to the videos, but you also have to take the steps and actually manage this yourself. Within the Skool community, there's going to be rewards and ways to kind of gain access and rise up the ranks. And I want to make sure that part of that is access to my time. And so within the community, share those wins. Do #wins with a post, and once a month, someone will win a free hour budgeting session with me. You just need to take a Loom video, screenshot, whatever works for you, hashtag it with #wins to enter, and I'll be monitoring on my end and see what those wins are. But I also want to share setbacks, because there's going to be setbacks in this process. It's not a straight line type of thing. And so be willing to share those annoyances or headaches or things that pop up that you may not expect. And if you do that same Loom video, screenshot, whatever, #setbacks, you're also entered in to win that free hourly budgeting session with me. And then a word of caution, if this is financial information, we don't want to overshare here. So make sure to get rid of any personal identifiable information like social security numbers, account numbers, anything like that. We don't want to overshare. We just want to share sort of the basic wins and losses here. Keep in mind, personal finance is about knowing the tactics and then utilizing whatever is best for you. Following the steps is going to be key to this process. So, make sure you understand how to manage your full financial picture by watching each individual video, because that's going to give you the understanding of what tactics are available and when to use said tactics. Take action. Like I said, you have to take action on these. People can get into a paralysis analysis situation. We want to avoid that. So take action. Don't hesitate too long in taking those first few steps. You can do this. Like when I showed you that picture of my financial growth, I was a self-employed writer, which make far less on a year-by-year basis than most therapists. So you can do this. I guarantee you can do this. My wife and I did not make large six figures or anything like that. Instead, it was a methodical process. It was consistent steps done consistently. And that's really how you achieve a success in personal finance. Do the work. If you want financial change, then you need to be the one to do it, and then share your successes and setbacks. You're going to have hesitations. You're going to have setbacks. It's okay. It's not a straight line. Share those experiences so you're not held back for too long. We're learning from each other inside that school community. So make sure to share, ask questions, and be helpful. The more you do that, the more the community grows and the more you'll get out of it. And so I really would encourage you to do that. Within the private practice school community, there's a few rules to keep in mind. First, you can access it at that link there, school.com/private practice owners. And then the community rules, you have to do only quality posts. If you're spamming my audience or anything like that with sales pitches or anything like that, I'm going to ban you. I really find this community to be so important. I really want this to grow. I really want this to be of value to private practice owners everywhere, and it won't if they're just getting spammed all the time. So if I find out, I'm gonna ban you, so please don't do it. And then we need positivity here. There's plenty of reasons to be pessimistic in our lives and in our financial lives, but when we're going through change like this, we need cheerleaders, and so we have to stay positive. Yes, we need guidance and we need advice and tactics, but we also need that positive mindset. And so if someone's willing to share their situation or is just getting started and they receive a cynical post about how they'll never make it or anything like that, I can't have it, because they're the ones taking that really important step right now. And so if I see that, I have to remove those posts. For more help and support, make sure to join that newsletter, thinkingcapfinancial.com/newsletter. There'll be more advice, more guidance there. And then just a big recap, make sure to join that school community at Private Practice Owners. And it's time to understand your finances. The more you understand, the more you're gonna be able to wrangle it, the more you're able to recognize what's going wrong and what you can do better, all those sorts of things. But you can't start that without understanding the finances. The tactics matter. There's so many tactics available, so many tools available. We need to understand what they're for, why they're there, and then incorporate them however we see fit. And that's why the tactics matter. And that's going to be the next step in the process. And the time is now. You're listening to this video, you've begun, you recognize the concern that you have. And so the time is now to get started and watch that next video. You can go to thinkingcapfinancial.com/testimonials, leave a testimonial, win a prize via the school community. I would encourage that as well. This is another part of sort of sharing those wins, sharing those losses, but also recognizing that other people need this tool and this setup, and it only helps the community. So please feel free to go there. You'll have clear instructions on how you can leave a testimonial. And then let's get started today. I cannot wait for the courses to come, and I'm so excited for you in this process. And thank you for joining me.